What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I posted a video yesterday, and that video is actually doing really well. It's actually the #1 video that I posted in the last 10 videos. And what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about this issue of Social Security cuts. Okay, so I talked about this video yesterday. It was a 14% increase. Check that video out. I explain everything and explain to you why this is a very important thing that we need to focus on. But I want to go even deeper. I want to talk a little bit more about this, a little bit more about the fact that the Social Security Administration is not getting the funding that they need in order to keep up with customer service. Right now, the customer service is just abysmal. And so that's what I want to focus on in this video. And I'm actually going to call the Social Security Administration. Now, it's at night, so I'm not doing this during the day. And the reason that I'm not doing it in the daytime is I don't want to be a part of keeping people on hold for long periods of time. But on average right now, if you make a phone call to the Social Security Administration, you're going to have to wait 30 minutes. But the main reason that I want to make the call is when you hear the greeting from the Social Security Administration, it's pretty interesting, and it's something that we need to talk about. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys do me a favor. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. Okay, so first thing I want to do is go over to this article real quick, and they're the ones that brought this to my attention. When you call the Social Security Administration, the phone number, this is the information that you'll receive, and we're going to see if that information is correct. And so this is basically Reuters called, and this is what they got. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to listen to it first, so we don't have to read it. We'll listen to it first, and then we're going to talk about it. But I want to kind of talk about just how this can impact everyone. Okay, even if you're not receiving Social Security yet, this can impact you, and you have to understand this is a way. This is a way not only to cut the Social Security Administration so they can't do the job that they're doing, but also cut Social Security as a whole. And let me just give you a scenario. Let's say right now you're 27 years old, so you go back in time, you're 27 years old, and you get a job, and you start working, and you start paying into that payroll tax. Okay, so it's 6.2% that you're paying, and then your employer will match that and pay another 6.2%. So that money goes straight to the Social Security Administration, and that helps pay the people who are currently receiving Social Security benefits. Okay, that's where that money goes. And then when you retire, then the people who are working are doing the same thing for you. So let's do this scenario. 27 years old, you start working, you start paying into the payroll tax, and then 40 years later, you're 67 years old and you're looking at collecting Social Security. Now, let's just say that the full retirement age is at 67. It might go up even higher. You have politicians that want to move it up to 70. So let's just say, for sake of argument, that 67, it stays 67. So 40 years down the road, now you want to collect retirement. And so you get on the website and you start going through and trying to figure out how to do this, and you have questions. And I know you'll probably have questions because when I have a pension, so I'm not receiving Social Security, but when I was going through that process of retiring, I had a lot of questions. And even though I got on the website and we where I work, we used to always say, "Did you hit the button? Did you hit the button?" That's basically the retirement button is what they're saying. And that means you go on the website, you put in all your information, you see how much an estimate of how much you're going to be receiving every month, and then you hit submit. And so in my case, I had to call them 2 or 3 times before I was comfortable enough to hit that button. And so, of course, you're going to want to call someone and talk to them about certain things because not everything is going to make sense. And this is a life-changing situation. You're retiring and you want to know approximately how much money you'll be receiving, and you want to make sure that you're doing everything correctly because you don't want any delay, because a delay would mean that you have to delay your retirement. And so just think of it this way. You get to that point, 40 years down the road, you've been paying into this system for 40 years. You've been helping out the people who are currently receiving retirement for 40 years. And then you get to that point and you call a phone number, and we'll call it, like I said, and you get a response, and this is the greeting that you hear. So I'm going to go ahead and call right now, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so here is the Social Security Administration.
Thank you for calling Social Security.
Para español, marque 7.
To ensure quality, your call may be monitored or recorded.
We are experiencing service issues, including poor call quality, dropped calls, and long wait time. We apologize in advance if you encounter disruptions. The 2023 Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA.
Okay, so now it goes on and talks about COLA and the COLA increase. We've already talked about that, 8.7%, all that. But you heard, even when I made this call right now, you heard that there was some disruption. It sounded it was going in and out. Now, I know I'm on my cell phone, so that might have had a role to play in this. But they say that you could get a drop call. They say that you're gonna be experiencing long wait times. Right now, the average is 30 minutes. And so could you imagine that you've invested into a program for 40 years, and then you get to the point where you have a question and you try to call and they tell you it's going to be 30 minutes. And guess what? You could get dropped. And if you get a drop call, then now you have to call back and wait another 30 minutes. It's amazing that the Social Security Administration is in this situation, okay? Now, I'm not blaming the people who work for the Social Security Administration because it's not their fault. If they need more money, they should be able to get more money so they can do their job. And in yesterday's video, I talked about the claims for SSDI and SSI. They put in a claim, they have to wait 6 months. They have to wait a year. I've had some people in the comments in that video say they had to wait over a year in order to get a response. It's unacceptable when you're paying into a system 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years in some cases, and you can't even get someone on the phone in less than 30 minutes. It's something that we really need to pay attention to, because this could be a strategy for some politicians who want to do away with Social Security. How do you do that? Well, one, the trust fund. We've already talked about that. So if they don't do anything about the trust fund, then you're going to see a decrease of about 20%. Another way to do away with Social Security is to not fund Social Security. Okay, not give them increases so they can do their job. And that way you have people who are receiving the benefits upset, and then you also have people who are paying into the system before they start receiving it, find out all these issues that are going on and say, you know what, I don't want this. I'd rather have private Social Security, privatize it, and let me take my money out and do what I want to do with it. That is the fear here, because we're in a situation where if you're not funding it, it will go away. The program will go away. And so it's very, very important that we pay attention to what's going on, and you call on these politicians and say, hey, you got to do something about this. Now, the reason why it's important right now is because December 16th, next week, Congress has an opportunity to pass a bill to increase by 14%, increase the Social Security budget. That will allow them to do what they need to do when it comes to helping the customer service, helping the people who are receiving benefits, helping the claims, get the claims through. But right now, I mean, it's amazing. And another thing that I want to talk about too, when you start thinking about getting drop calls. So I would imagine that if you're calling the Social Security Administration, I could be wrong, but you're calling an office, and in that office you have landlines. So how are you getting drop calls? That doesn't make sense to me. Unless they all have cell phones and you're calling these people who are following up with your claim, and you're calling a cell phone, which could it could happen, right? You have people working from home and things like that, so they could be in a situation where they have a phone at home, and that's the phone that they're answering when people call. That could very well be the case, but this is a very, very serious time. And I know I tell you guys a lot about different things, but this is something we need to watch, because the anticipation is next week, Congress is just going to do a continued resolution, a stopgap measure, basically until next year. So they're not going to increase funding in for any of the agencies. That includes Social Security, everything. They're not going to, we won't see an increase. And if we don't see an increase, then we're going to see another year of this same situation. It's going to get worse. I'm not going to even say it's probably going to get worse. It's going to get worse because you have a backlog already, and then you have people who are still filing claims, and you have people who are still calling on the phone to get their questions answered, and it's just going to be a snowball effect. And so by this time next year, it's going to be even worse. It might be twice as bad. Okay, instead of waiting for, what did I say? In some states, you're waiting 255 days just to get a response to your initial application for a claim for disability. You could be in a situation where now you're waiting a year and a half just to get that information back. So very, very serious thing that we need to follow. And I will make sure to continue to keep you guys up to date. So make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell notification. But this is how things work. And this is how some politicians want things to work. They want Social Security to look like it's just in chaos. And that way they can say, well, you know what? The program's not working. So let's cut it. Let's privatize it. And let's do this or let's do that. Or, I mean, that's how you gain leverage. That's how these politicians see gaining leverage, because they'll say, oh, this is a big problem, so we're going to have to cut this and cut that and streamline it. And it's almost like companies. They do this all the time. They file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And when they file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, they streamline the business, they lay a bunch of people off, and then they move forward. That's the same thing that could happen with Social Security. If it's chaotic and the customer service is just, I mean, it's a situation where now you're not waiting 30 minutes, but you're waiting an hour, and you're getting dropped calls and you're getting all these other issues, then politicians will step in and say, you know what, let's do away with this, or let's start a new program and transition everyone over to a new program and then just go from there. But in most cases, that's not going to be good. Privatizing Social Security will not be good. Letting you invest your money the way that you see fit when it comes to your retirement is not necessarily a good thing, because one, Social Security, you get that for the rest of your life. But if you privatize it and you start investing on your own, it's going to be just like a 401k. And a 401k will run out at some point. And God willing, if you live long enough, you're going to run out of money. And then what are you going to do when you run out of money? And so this is something that we need to follow. And like I said, I will make sure to keep you guys up to date. Next week, December 16th, that is when we'll find out. Well, I won't say we'll find out on that day. We might find out a little before then, but we'll find out what Congress is going to do when it comes to the budget. They need to have a budget for 2023, and they pushed this off until December 16th, so we'll have to see where they go from there. If you guys have any questions, post them down below and let me know. Let me know more stories. I want to share these on the channel, so let me know more stories of you guys calling into the Social Security Administration, or if you filed a claim, how long did you have to wait? Let me know all that information down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.